the NPA say about their funding needs?
Zina, very good afternoon to you as well. Yes, they are currently sitting before the committee. The MPs have just asked questions rather, and the NPA is now giving their answers. In terms of funding, the head of the NPA, Advocate Shamila Batoyi, she in her annual report, she did speak about the great financial need that the NPA finds itself in. In fact, she went as far as saying that if they don't get an increase in their funding anytime soon, the NPA might not be able to fulfill its mandate within the next few, possibly years. One of the big programs that the NPA was stressing about is it's called the Prosecutor Program, Accelerated Prosecutor Program. It's where the NPA actually sources newly graduated lawyers and then draws them into its ranks, and then obviously trains them while they are working for the authority. So that yesterday we were still under the impression that that program had in fact had to be a moratorium was placed on that program because of funding issues. But today in the committee, the advocate just informed us that that moratorium has in fact been lifted, so they can continue with that program going forward. The big thing she spoke about is the low morale of prosecutors. She said that they are trying really hard to do their work properly. They are trying really hard to prosecute cases to the best of their ability, but because of the high vacancy rate, of course positions have been frozen, so there are many acting people and there are many positions which have not yet been filled. So because of the high vacancy rate and the long hours that prosecutors have to put in, even longer now with a high vacancy rate, the morale is very low at the moment. She said that what also impacts on this is that people take leave, which they have to take. They are entitled to leave as well as sick leave. She did also mention that they do have a problem with the abuse of sick leave, and this all adds to the pressure which is put on prosecutors in their day-to-day jobs. So that is what she was speaking about just in terms of the funding. She didn't delve into it too much. She skimmed through it. It is something that MPs are aware of. It is something that we were all aware of. She didn't go into it in detail. Then she spoke about the prosecution rate, the conviction rate. Now, 2 weeks ago, the Chief Justice Mogoeng in fact criticized the NPA, saying that it should not use its conviction rate or the conviction rate as a yardstick to measure its success. And in fact, today, the Shamila Batoyi did say that they are very proud of the conviction rate because they've done quite well in the past financial year in terms of convictions. The Chief Justice argument is that prosecutors don't convict, they present cases, and it's actually up to judges and magistrates to convict. So he was using that example, and he actually said they need to find another yardstick in terms of how to measure the successes of the NPA. So MPs did ask questions along those lines, asking, what her thoughts are on what the Chief Justice said. Apparently, she did previously say she agrees with him and that they do need to find another way of measuring the authority's successes. Glenys Breitenbach of the DA was spitting fire in the committee today because of the matter where the fees must fall, gentleman whose appeal was denied. Of course, we know about the presidential pardon. The Justice Minister did indicate that this process was underway. Glenys Breitenbach asked the NPA about this, saying that it's incredulous that the minister could actually be going this route. She said now is not the time. So we're expecting an answer from the NPA to that question as well. As I said, many MPs wanted to know about the conviction rate, but the NPA currently, they are running out of time because the SIU is expected to come and present its annual report before the committee at 2:00, and the NPA basically have barely touched the surface in terms of responding. There were so many questions, and MPs took really long to ask questions. So this is a big challenge in Parliament, is that the question time is really very long. MPs take their time with many loaded, in-depth questions, and we don't often get the answers that we need as the media and as the public. We don't often, we're not able to interrogate the answers thoroughly, and the various bodies aren't able to present their answers properly because of time constraints. And one of the MPs actually suggested that we allow the NPA, that the committee allows the NPA to then give its answers in writing. Of course, this doesn't suit us as the media, doesn't suit the public, because these are important questions that we need answers to as soon as possible. If they are given in writing, that takes another period of time, and we don't often those answers don't often come to us. So right now, the advocate and her team are answering questions, and then the SIU will be up with its annual report in a little bit.
Abra, very briefly, there's been a conversation about private funding for the National Prosecuting Authority, the business community saying that they would be willing to help fund the NPA, and a lot of discomfort raised around that. Did that come up today?
No, I didn't hear anything along those lines. That wasn't discussed today. The questions, I didn't actually hear too much about funding in terms of the questions. Like I said, the questions had to do with what the Justice Minister said. It had to do about how we measure the success rate of the NPA. They wanted to know about care centres. They wanted to know about cases, sexual offences cases. On that point, in fact, what the advocate did say is that despite the sentences being meted out for perpetrators of sexual violence, of sexual offences, we are still not winning that battle. It seems as though the heavy sentences are not a deterrent. So she says this is something that they need to look into to find out what other deterrents can be put in place to curb this this category of crime. She said they are not getting a handle on sexual offences, on rapes, on sexual assaults. She also said that they, in terms of, I think it is syndicate crime, that they are. Syndicate crime, that they are working together with the Hawks because they are also losing that battle. So she said together, she and the head of the Hawks, they are also looking at other ways of clamping down on organised crime, rather, because these are two areas that they do not seem to be winning in. Zinga?
Abra Barbier, thanks so much for that update, giving us an update on the NPA briefing the Justice and Correctional Services Committee.